Hey YouTube, welcome to my channel, Jazz Dwayne here. Today's day is June the 30th, 2020. In today's video, I'm going to talk about me reminiscing about Father's Day and how it wasn't much of a big holiday for me growing up and so forth. And I just want to say to all the fathers and some mothers out there, happy belated Father's Day to all the fathers and some mothers out there who've been there for their children and does fatherly duties for their children, and make sacrifices for their children and really want their children to succeed in life. As a kid, I didn't really have my father in my life like that. As I mentioned in my earlier videos, I was in a foster care system, as a young kid for a few years of my life. Despite, my mom raising me and so forth, I was with other foster families, because of how my parents lived their lives. They lived very reckless lives. But, my mother, was a mother and father in my life compared to my own father. He wasn't there. He was raising somebody else's children. So he was never there for me. And, when I first, met him, I was very jealous. What teenager wasn't? I was 17 years old. I was jealous because I really wanted to have that bond. I really wanted to have that relationship with him. But I feel like I never had a chance to have that relationship with my father. And then another factor, came to blow when he found out I was gay. And I feel like, it messed his mind up because, I think he didn't really want to have a gay son. And my dad is 1/4 Puerto Rican and I'm 1/8 Puerto Rican. So being Puerto Rican and being a Black American and being gay is a no-no, and is a no-no within that community. So I feel like he used, being gay against me, and I feel like our relationship started to suffer. And as I mentioned on my Facebook page, I feel like our relationship was suffering the whole entire time. It's like we had, a struggling relationship because before I met him, we used to talk almost every day on the phone, like every single day. It was not even a day where I don't call him. And back 15 years ago, we used to use pay phones and phone cards. Back during those days, and you had pay phones and phone cards, and that's what I was using to call my father from Syracuse to Rochester during that time. And we used to talk. I was so excited to talk to him and try to have that bond, trying to make up for lost time. And then, when I met him 3 months later, that June of 2005, I feel like the spark was gone. It looked like it disappeared, and I feel like something within my dad's conscious feel like something was wrong with me. I feel like he probably had a clue I was gay, but it didn't really bother him until he actually forced me to come out. And I feel like our relationship, suffered, and he wasn't really home too much. He was, hanging with friends and buddies instead of having a relationship with me, being from Syracuse, New York, being from Central New York, and he's from the Finger Lakes in the Western New York region. I feel like it really suffered, and, there are some times where, I tear a little bit, because I feel like our relationship really suffered. And even when I was a kid, I was wondering who was my father. It was always questions, who's my father, this and this, and I just didn't really get any answers until like years later. I guess my mom really wanted to protect us children from anything bad going on, and most mothers really want to protect their children from, from hurting and suffering. And my mom didn't want to hurt us even more, and when that happened, I feel like, we our relationship suffered. And like, I don't talk to my father no more. I haven't really talked to him in about 6 years. I cut him off because there's something I found out about him that really pissed me off. It angered me, and he backstabbed me and betrayed me. And most fathers are supposed to be there for their children to teach them lessons and make sure that they don't make mistakes like they did back when they was younger. And I feel like my dad kind of effed up, during that time, and I can't really talk about that situation because that situation is gonna make me more upset because it's more, this reasoning is more spiritually related, but there's more to the situation that I can't really tell right now, especially on YouTube. But the situation really hurted me, and I feel like our relationship, suffered because of that too. Because I feel like if I was bothering my father, I feel like my father should have been like a bigger person to, reach out to me and talk to me about me being gay. If that was the issue, if I was bothering him, or if it made him uncomfortable, because I remember one time, he was telling me, you know, like I should never came there with my gayness, and if you was living with me, you would never be gay. Like, what are you talking about? I probably would have been. So you can't really dictate anything that I do. You didn't raise me. You don't have no part in my life. So you can't come around here and say you will be very different if I was there in Rochester living with you. I probably would have been gay or bisexual as well if I was living with you. No, seriously. And I feel like he didn't really support me in that type of way or protect me because I'm taller than my father. My dad is 5'6", and I'm taller than him. Protect me. He's a short man and I'm a tall guy, but he should have, protect me. Be there for me. And make sure that I'm okay and to have my back. And recently, I called family, especially my paternal grandmother. I was telling her, I don't talk to him no more. I was just voicing my frustrations, and my grandmother was telling me, I hope that one day you and your father will come to peace one day. And I was like, I don't know if that can ever happen. Sometimes it could be too late. Well, it can never be too late towards certain situations. Since my mom died, I don't have that parental figure in my life much anymore. And I feel like, I haven't really been myself since during that time frame. And I feel like, he haven't really helped me to heal from losing my mother 11 years ago. And I still have that burden over me even to this day, and it really sucks. And sometimes I don't really want to talk negative about my own father because that is my parent, but I have a lot of stuff that I have to get off my chest. And when it comes to Father's Day, I was on a live streaming a while ago, and I was telling the guy that runs his live streaming, like, Father's Day to me is like blah. It doesn't really have no meaning to me because, like, I don't have my father in my life because I cut him off. And I mentioned this in my other videos, like, I cut him off, as I said, due to backstabbing and betrayal. And that really hurted me because I remember on Facebook on last Sunday on the 21st, because I was working, I've been busy the last few days, so I didn't really have the time to actually post a video. I've been so busy, so I was juggling my job and juggling YT at the same time, and it's no way, but I make things happen for myself. But, I post a picture of my father wishing him happy Father's Day, despite the fact that I cut him out of my life. A lot of people was telling me, Dwayne, that was big of you posting your father. It really takes guts for you to actually do that. Because a lot of people wouldn't have, did that, especially if you don't talk with your parent no more, during that time. I cut him off. And, a lot of people told me that it takes a lot of guts, and I feel like it did because I didn't have to do it, but I did because at the end of the day, I feel like I have a heart and that I care about him and so forth because I have a conscience, and I don't want that conscience to bite me in my behind. And I don't want to have a lot of regrets being angry towards my father because he hurted me and backstabbed me and betrayed me by his actions and the way that he handled the situation itself. There was a few times where I actually cried about the situation because it really bothered me. And with me, I'm not a crier, but when it comes to something bothering me or someone hurting me, I cry a little bit. And I'm not a crier, and you will never see me cry in none of my videos. I probably cried in one of my live streams. I forgot which one. I believe it was my fourth one that I teared a little bit because of the mistreatment of how people was being mistreated. But that really bothered me, and even to this day, I still think about him as an individual. But I feel like the relationship suffered. I think after I came out the closet 15 years ago, I feel like that relationship, is not the same. And I feel like I deserve an apology, for him, mistreating me, being gay and me being myself, and especially for someone who didn't really raise me. Because, as I mentioned earlier in this video, that my mother was my mother and father. She was that masculine and feminine presence in my life, and my mother can do bad all by herself. And she taught us to, stand up for ourselves and to be confident and to have a voice. Something that my father didn't really teach me. I think my father was trying to teach me to be more macho, which was not me. I'm masculine, but I'm not like macho, at all. Which is not me, but I'm masculine. You could be masculine and gay at the same time. You don't have to be typically feminine. And I feel like he was trying to try to teach me to be very macho. But I feel like I can handle that part of myself as well. And I cannot believe that these people are blowing firecrackers right now. It's so annoying right now. But seriously, I really wanted to really get that message across. Like, seriously. So, despite, last Sunday being Father's Day, and a lot of people, especially on YouTube and Facebook, try to post a nice picture or memory of their father on social media. Like with me, I just have a whole lot of very bitter, very sad memories about him, because I feel like I really wanted to get my message across, and I just didn't want to be this person where, oh, my relationship with my father is perfect and so forth. And like, no, it's not perfect at all. Like, seriously, it's not perfect whatsoever. It's not perfect at all. And I feel like a lot of people try to have me try to fix my relationship with him, but with me, it just wouldn't work. And I remember my grandmother was telling me that I was being a little stubborn, but I had to say, you can't make a grown person have a relationship with their parent who was never there for them. I have to find a way to balance that relationship one day. It's been 6 years, but I refuse to, let things, bother me. I won't let things, make me, very upset. And I'm referring to my father, and it's just a day-by-day process that I have to deal with, during that time. I know that, one day I might have a relationship with him. I might. We'll see what happens. I'm not too sure it's going to be guaranteed, because you can't make people change. Like, you just can't. You can't make people change at all. You can't. People got to change on their own accord. And, I'm very happy for my god brothers and god sister that was raised by him. I hope that my father taught them a very valuable lesson about life, and being there for people and caring for one another. I hope that he taught my god brother and god sister, a very valuable lesson about life and how to treat people. I hope that he really taught them that lesson, since he was there for them instead of his own two kids. Because, as I mentioned, I'm my father's oldest child, so I hope that he'd be able to teach those two a very valuable lesson. So that's all I can say. And so I just can say that, and no, I was not sexually assaulted. Nope, and not at all. It deals with a backstab and betrayal type of situation that I can't really talk about on YouTube, but it's more of a religious type of situation that I can't talk about on YouTube, and it really messed me up. and it deals with my father. But I hope that I be able to forgive him one day, and I hope that, we can, put everything aside and move on with our lives. And I just want to say to my father, Happy Father's Day. And I want to wish my mother, who's deceased, Happy Father's Day as well, because my mother was like a father to me in my life compared to my own father, who was living in Rochester, during the time of the 90s and, early 2000s, way before I reunited with him. So I wanted to reminisce about the holiday because I always get lonely when it comes to Father's Day, because it makes me sad because I didn't have that masculine influence when I was growing up, and when I was living with him, he was hanging out. So I just didn't really have that bond, and I think that what bothered me today, and that what really made me sad, majority of the time. So I'm just gonna say my piece, and that's that. So that's all I can say, and I hope that I can have peace in my life one day, and I just can let all this go, and like and let bygones be bygones. But Father's Day to me, is just like a regular day to me, and most children take their fathers out to eat or and so forth like that, and I don't even take mine to eat because we don't have that bond, we don't have that relationship, and I cut him out of my life because I can't deal with a lot of toxicness in my life. And I hope that one day we can, you know, deal with this a little differently one day. And then I can not be hurt or be angry because of something that happened when I was a teenager. Something that I had no control over. All right, I'm going to keep it at that. All right. Peace and love to everyone, and you guys have a good night. All right, good day, people, and peace to all.